Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. We are interviewing Arlene Conley Drummond, who is the founder and director of IC Group. IC Group is an organization that we're going to bring to you today about what they do, when they started, and to make sure that you know more about this fabulous organization. So, Miss Conley, how are
Good
you?
afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. So, IC Group, that is a very interesting name. What does IC Group mean? Does it have a meaning or is it an acronym?
Sure. So IC Group is an acronym. ICE stands for Igniting the Spirit to Excel in Excellence. Our company goal is to really help people really realize that there's a higher level of excellence that we can all aspire to. And our goal is to help people arrive at that higher place of excellence, guide them through that process to realize that sometimes we're hovering in mediocrity and we
Hmm.
think we're excellent. We think we're doing our very best. We think we're showing up as our best selves. But there is a higher place that we can go. And sometimes we just need some coaching, guidance, and support to help us realize that.
So, how long ago did you start IC Group and what form of help do you provide to the community?
So IC Group started out back in 2004. And when they talk about being persistent and holding on to your dreams and not
Hmm.
letting go of those things that you aspire to, IC Group started in 2004. It was incorporated, and then I just let it sit because I got caught up with working for other people, helping other people build their businesses and grow their vision. And when I looked around, it was 2010, and I said, "Oh, I need to do something." And I started, I got involved in my John Maxwell, and I was part of the founding member of John Maxwell
Nice.
um, coaching. And I started that, and then I got caught back up again, and I was doing my job of, being a director of youth and family services, and then being a director of communication and strategic partnerships at a nonprofit. So I've done a lot of work where I was giving my ideas, my vision, my heart, my dreams to something I was passionate about, but at the same time, my love of the things I wanted to do, I was really letting to sit dormant. And so in 2014, I incorporated the business and really got it to a place where I just became relentless. And I said, I have to do this. And excitingly enough, that was 2014 and 2017. I resigned my job and I've been doing IC full time since.
Wow. So, your working career looks like it spanned about
30
25
years.
30 years. So
30
tell
years.
us a little bit what you've actually done in that 30-year span of time that's gotten you to open up IC Group. Because I know
Sure.
you do a lot of work with families. Tell us a little bit more about your work history and what
Sure.
led you
So
to here.
I started out really in the nonprofit sector. Started out in Brooklyn
Hmm.
and work with a very growing and vibrant nonprofit organization that worked heavily with youth and families. And that organization allowed me the opportunity to really stretch myself, coming from college and really having the opportunity where I saw my impact while I was in college. And that's where I really have to say it started. While I was in college, I was a president of the Black Student Union. I got very heavily involved in community initiatives, and I began volunteering in a nonprofit in the community as a career coach, working with youth and really helping guide young people to realize their dreams and aspirations and really learn how to navigate the terrain called their lives. And so often, starting from that point to today, the challenge that young people would share with me is that their greatest place of struggle. is in their family, is in their home. And so I'm very passionate about how do we help them navigate that and how do we help that be better, because that's supposed to be the safe space. So that started back while I was in college. Post college, I did nonprofit work in Brooklyn, New York, until I transitioned to South Florida. And I worked for about 8 years in the collegiate environment where I was the director of student services, working with um, young adults and many times older adults who were really seeking to get their lives back on a career path and pursue their dreams, and individuals who may have not had a good high school experience or a good educational journey, but they really aspired to pursue a career in various fields. And so I got the opportunity to help navigate them through that and create pathways to support them in that process, as well as guide them to careers and internships and things that gave them hands-on experience. So that was I did that for about 8 years, and then I transitioned from there, and I worked for another 12 to 14 years in another nonprofit where I was the director of youth and family services, and I got to do things from both the local level and as well as the federal level, doing family strengthening, teen pregnancy prevention, career skills guidance, mentorship. We did issues around fatherhood, and just a plethora of skill building and experiences that supported family and supported youth, and things that surrounded academics and all of that. So I had that opportunity, and then I transitioned from that, and I became the director of communications and strategic partnerships. And in that role, I really began to transition from just doing the direct service of guiding the work with youth and families to connecting the dots with community resources and building strategic partnerships, and coaching other executives and management staff around what it takes to excel in their role, what it takes to really mentor and coach and guide their teams so that they can realize the goals, and how to maintain momentum in their teams and in the organization to realize the bigger overarching goals that the company had. So I had the opportunity to do all of that. And in that sphere, my span of the last 30 years was seeing the impact of what happened when families are broken, what happens when they're fragmented, what happens when there's poor communication, what happens when goals and dreams are deferred, what happens when families are broken, what
Mhm.
happens when families are displaced, what happens when the economic impact and realities of life hit families. And I had the opportunity to experience all of that. And Lorraine, all of that falls in the backdrop for me of so much of it is my life. It's been some of the things that I've experienced. And so when I
Okay.
look at the young people I serve,
Hmm.
and the families that I serve, I saw me. I saw some of my experiences and the ability to help those families navigate through those challenges and to help guide young people to learn how to have a better communication with their parents. That's been a really phenomenal experience for
I
me,
could,
because now I
I
see
could
those
see that.
individuals, they have their own kids.
I could see that. So IC Group goes into households and helps fragmented households who are in, I don't want to say crisis, because we all feel at one time or another time as a family we're in some type of crisis, especially in the environment today. But what are some of the things that you go in and you help and teach households, families that are feeling separated to bring them together?
Sure. So I do a number of different things. I'm usually called upon heavily in the community to do parenting workshops. I am that sought out speaker and workshop facilitator that individuals, companies call on, and they say, we have a parent engagement. We are seeing an issue with our parent involvement, or we've identified that we have several young people who are struggling in their families, or we just want to make sure that as we are serving our kids, we are creating opportunities and pathways to strengthen their families. And so I'm called upon a lot for that. But then I'm also called upon so often, whether it's in a nonprofit organization from various different community settings or in my church, where I'm called upon when families are struggling. All the way from, it could be a couple
Mm-hmm.
and the adults in that family unit finding themselves having a difficult time, and it always stems back to communication. They may be having a difficult time dealing with each other, dealing with their children, dealing with their extended family network, and it's all having an impact on their ability to have peace and to have joy in their family unit, yet alone for their families to thrive. And so I come in, whether it could be from a workshop or it
Mm-hmm.
is on a face to face or utilizing technology. It could be a phone call or on a Zoom call where we are discussing and we are really trying to get a greater understanding of what the challenge is, what are they seeing that has bubbled up, what is their vision of what they would like to see happen, because part of the goal of coaching is to help families and individuals see that they may have a lot of the tools, they may have some foundational skills, but they just need guidance. And sometimes, just like a coach sees and can identify your raw talent, and they come alongside and they push you and they give you exercises and they walk you through different strategies and training to help you build that muscle. And so one of the greatest muscles that I strive and we strive to do in IC group is to help individuals strengthen their communication skills, because from that communication skills it follows how I deal with conflict, how I share my thoughts, feelings, and ideas, how I help navigate through various challenges, how do I help create that safe space for my family to communicate their thoughts, feelings, and ideas. All of that comes from communication. In my
Yeah.
communication, I can build up or I can tear down. And so we try to help families learn how to build up when they communicate as opposed to tear down.
So, do you find that you have a time limit? Do you have programs, 12-week programs, or ongoing coaching sessions with a family? How do you go about making that assessment? And is there a time? Is there a time limit? Or do you just, like therapy, have ongoing sessions?
We try to give everything a time limit. So there's different program packages that a family can do. A lot of it and so much of coaching is about the individual, that person who has decided to step into the coaching relationship. They
Hmm.
can they are the driver. So once you join that coaching relationship, I can say, based on the assessment and my understanding of what you've shared, that our time we may test out doing, 6 sessions, right? Or we may do a 30-day challenge. Or we may find that we are 6 months in and we're working through some things. And sometimes I have clients that are a year, and I've had people who I've engaged with for the 3 years where they don't speak to me every day, but they know that once a month they can check in. Sometimes bi-weekly, we have a check-in call. They have different tasks and assignments, goals that they have established. And my responsibility is to help guide them and be that accountability person that helps them process where they are in terms of achieving those milestones and helping them sometimes remember the why behind establishing that goal, and how they can navigate the different things that happen in the everyday life that can derail us from achieving our goals, but how we can remain focused and maintain momentum.
Well, thank you for that answer because I've seen your work, I've seen your workshops, and I know that you have counseled and coached hundreds of families and couples. You talked a little bit in the beginning about your past. So, were you the family member that was always looking to fix problems, or was this there's something that you stumbled in. How did you get here? Because how we start off life and how where we end up, they all intermingle, and it's all important. So tell us a little bit about your beginning.
Sure. So, um, I experienced what I see so often in the families that I'm encountering: high levels of dysfunction, varying levels of what I would call fragmentation, where families are broken, where it could be broken based on divorce or based on separation. For me, it was very early on in life, separated from my mom, and then separated from my dad, and then going through layers of seeing my mom suffer, experiencing the loss of my mom at a very early age. So I understand what it means when a family is going through grief and challenge, um, and the displacement that comes along with navigating. Um, you know, what it means to be homeless and what it means to not have a solid and a safe place to call home and a safe place to communicate your thoughts, feelings, and ideas. And feeling very vulnerable and alone. That's part of my experience. And so when I'm working and doing this work with families or with children, I can see them and see the family dynamics from a prism of understanding because it is my lived experiences as well. And so I bring that awareness of what it meant for me to feel that the adults in my life were not effectively communicating with me, or in many cases, where I was being abused. And we have young people who don't know how to share what's happening in their lives. And then as parents, we can be so busy with just trying to meet the demands of raising a family that we miss the cues, we miss the little insights of what's happening in our family until we are in crisis, until a challenge does arise. And so it's so important to have a support system who can be there when those situations arise to guide you through. And I would say to individuals to guide you through to maybe um, improve it, or we may identify that you need a greater sense of help from a therapist or some other levels of intervention. But having a trusted support coach to help guide you through that, because so many people are resistant to therapy.
I can see that, especially in the Black community, we would rather pray it out, work it out, than find a helping hand from a professional to guide us through these trying times. It's very hard to navigate through situations that you've never been in before. What do you find are some of the things that, should I say, modern day families are really struggling with? What's the struggle that you see people are battling with every day?
Sure. So one of the things, I'm very excited to be a John Maxwell speaker, trainer, and coach. And in John Maxwell, we speak a lot about leadership. And the other thing that we share in our John Maxwell world is about how do we add value? How do we add value to people? And how do we come alongside people and help them realize their potential? One of the greatest challenges that I see in families happening right now is there's a disconnect in the family unit. We, in many times, the adults who are leading have forgot or they have misplaced their leadership posture in the family. And so, helping the parents, whoever is the caretaker of that family, to find their leadership posture in the family unit. And when I say leadership posture, it's so important to clarify. It's
Hmm.
not what I've experienced growing up, where, the children have no voice, and the words that are spoken to you are often belittling or degrading, but they think they're building you up. They think they're doing the best
They
that
are.
they can with what they know. But we have the opportunity as parents to really exercise leadership in the home where what I do with families is help them establish what's their family values, help them establish their family mission statement, help them establish their goals and expectations. One of the things that young people share with me is they can say, I know what my parents fuss about, but they don't know what the parents' standards, values, and beliefs are, and they struggle to understand what are my parents' expectations. But can you imagine what that can do for a family if that was clear? And if that family was creating a space that allowed for the cultivation of that environment where clear goals and aspirations, that young person's skills and abilities are being cultivated, what that can mean if we're creating an environment like that. But so many of our families are consumed
Hmm.
with the demands of day to day living.
Yeah. The busy.
And while every parent has the best interests of their children at heart, they do. But when it comes to, do I listen to this child share with me her story, or am I exhausted from working the three jobs? They're exhausted from working the three jobs,
Yeah.
to make ends meet so they can have a roof over their head. So it becomes really challenging. And parents do not want anyone else to make them feel like they're a failure. And that's one of the things that I strive to do is I'm speaking and I'm sharing with a family. I'm not talking at you, nor am I trying to tell you how to be a parent. My role when you invite me in is to come alongside and to be your cheerleader and to help you know, just like you, and I've had so many people in my life who's been that cheerleader for me. I didn't always do it right, but to know that you have a network of people that you can tap on who can help you navigate that challenge, or be that next voice in the life of your child, is so helpful, or to help give you a different perspective and a way to look at things. Many times we don't have a safe space to bounce off ideas and to share where we're feeling challenged. And my last thing I would say is that so many parents, we put the family first, and everyone tells us that once you have children, what you want, what you need goes secondary. And I hear that, but I don't believe that's good advice. Because if I'm not okay, if I'm not being the best version of myself, I struggle to be what my family needs. And so then what happens is I parent out of obligation, and then I parent from a place of bitterness. And so I really try to help parents um, really find that joy space of what it means to raise another life, and to guide them for them to realize their dreams and aspirations, while simultaneously making sure that we are taking care of us.
You said something. I just want to backtrack. Trying to figure out what your family standard is, what your family's value is, what your family's boundaries are. For some people, I'm sure you're speaking to, these are terms that they don't think about because, as you said, they're working to pay the rent, the light, make sure that the elements are off of your head and that you get three square meals a day. And these terms are foreign. It's something that you hear,
In the
but what
business
does it
world.
mean? Yeah, what does it mean? So walk us through when you're with a family and you're trying to figure out what a family's value is. What are some of the questions you ask, or what are some of the things that you're looking for them to explain to you about who they are? Walk us through that.
Sure. So, Lorraine, I am very hands on. I love hands on interactive experiences. So, when I can, I love to do sessions with the family where we are together and we are walking through different exercises and experiences. I think conversation is good, but there's so much more we gain when we're actually actively doing. So, one of the things that I like to do, um, every family or every parent or every individual who reaches out to IC Group and say they would like coaching, we start off with a pre-coaching assessment, right? And that pre-coaching assessment takes you through a series of questions to really help you dig into your why that you're engaging in coaching. What are your goals and aspirations you want to achieve from coaching? And what are your expectations that you would like your life to look like after you've engaged in a coaching experience? And so that is really important because it helps that person to really think about why and what they're looking for. So they're already coming with some pre established ideas of what they're seeking to achieve. My role and responsibility is to come alongside and say, okay, based on what you say you're looking for, here's a strategy of how we can go about experiencing that. And we will have a number of different ways. I like to first start off by learning more about that person who reached out, that person who identified that there's a problem. When they say sometimes that when you're looking to change a situation, you have to first change. The first change starts with you. And so I seek to help that individual, one, be able to assess how they've come to the understanding of what's happening. And then the individual who reached out is usually you're getting their perspective. So if you're trying to serve the entire family, you have to get to know the entire family dynamics. Um, and so I take them through a series of experiences, processes, activities, which is why, we start off maybe with a first 6 coaching sessions, but it really is to help the individual get a grounding of a direction. And then the individual has to then determine their willingness to move forward because coaching is not productive if you are not actively involved in the process. It is not the coach telling you what to do and then doing the exercises for you. The exercises are your homework, is your activity. And so their commitment and your willingness to commit to do the work is critical for any successful coaching experience.
Do you find that you work better with families who have children or singles? Where's your sweet spot?
Ah, so I have a little bit of both. Um, I would say families, and especially families with teenagers, would probably be my sweet spot. And I say that because what I hear, and I would say maybe middle school to teenagers to post high school and young adults. Um, what I've found is that because society and maybe the experiences of others, that the navigating the terrain of the transition from adolescence to the teenage years is a very trying time in a family unit. And I've been able to successfully help families navigate that and turn that experience around from being a very difficult and trying time to being one where there's a great level of growth, an expanded level of understanding, and a greater level of communication. And what that means for that entire family unit is that they now have a place of joy and peace in their household, as opposed to it being a very argumentative and negative environment where many young people don't want to be home. And many parents dread having to deal with their teens.
And it is a very trying time for everyone, not just teenagers, but for parents themselves. And my parents and grandparents would make the statement that they don't write books about how to raise children, but we do write books about how to raise children. We have people like yourself who will help you have a harmonious, not bump free, but at least a a vision that you said and a mission that is conducive to good growth and building good young people to put out in this world. So, how would somebody reach out to you? Do you have any workshops coming up? Do you have any sessions coming up? Tell us about how we can get in contact with you.
So I'm a busy bee. My hands in are a lot of different things. So we do conferences, we do workshops, and I'm working on a conference right now that's happening in November, and
Okay.
it's one of the passion pieces that I didn't talk about in this conversation. And the conference is titled "Rise Up, um, Growing Up Male: What Boys, Men, and Fathers Need to Thrive." Part of the work of IC Group is we have a commitment and a passion for engaging fathers, because we believe, not only we believe, the statistics and the national landscape tells us that the importance and the value of an engaged father on the life of children and the life of families is significant. And so, one of the things that we seek to do at IC Group is we have an initiative called Reclaiming the Fathers. And reclaiming the fathers, we talk about reclaiming fathers back into the community, back into the family, and back into relationships. There's so many disjointed relationships with fathers. There's so much negative perceptions about fathers. There's so many misguided ideas about the role of a father in the family unit. And so we really seek to help repair that, rebuild it, sometimes reframe it so that families can be successful and that children can have a positive experience with their dads. And so that's a really important part for us. But one of the things that we have going on right now that those who are listening can take advantage of is we are sponsoring a 30-minute coaching session for the first 10 people who connect with us via social media, that they can be one of the 10 that gets an opportunity to sit and chat with me for 30 minutes. And I can tell you, for the countless people that I've had the privilege to engage in dialogue, they say to me, "Where have you been? No one has said it to me like that before. Thank you so much for bringing clarity. Thank you for your guidance and direction, and these tools and resources were helpful." Um, and just the idea of having a listening ear. Sometimes that's what people need, and to not feel like they are a bad parent or a bad person, or that I'm struggling with the relationship I'm in because I'm not good at relationship. Well, no, it may mean that you need to tighten up some tools and build some relationship muscles so that you can show up better. It may mean that you need to work on you and stop looking at your mate and what they're doing and look at what you're doing. So it's that ability. So that 30-minute session often sprouts into more sessions because we see value in it. So we're doing that right now, and anyone who is interested can really visit our social media, and you would look up ISEE Group LLC on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. We have an IC Group YouTube. So we're all over social media. So anyone can connect with us there. And if you didn't connect with us there, you can connect with us via our website. And that's IC Group, ISEE Group, LLC.com. And you can find us there as well.
Awesome. So we'd like to thank you so much for your time this evening. If you think that you may need help in your family, or you know someone who needs help in their family and needs just a little bump and push, please give IC Group a call, reach out to them to get that free 30-minute consultation. And we thank you so much today for your time, and consider the next our next 30 minutes will be on what are we going to be talking about? Miss
Our
Conley.
next 30 minutes, Lorraine, so I'm looking forward to it. We're going to be talking about my book that I published a couple of years ago now called Let Your Daddy Lift You Up, Healing Daddy Issues to Build Healthy Relationships. And, that's a whole nother topic when you just talk about daddy issues. And so we'll dive a little bit more into that book and unpack it and learn a little bit more about the upcoming workshops we have around healing daddy issues.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the pleasure of interviewing you. Look forward to
Thank
talking to you
you.
on the next one. Bye bye.
Thank you so much, Lorraine.